Hello and welcome. This talk contains information about sexual assault and violence, which may be triggering to survivors. So take care of yourself. I'd like to pretend that you'll never need to worry, need to know how to help a friend, because we've all lived in a world without war or violence or abuse, without trauma. But just in case my pretend world doesn't exist and you find yourself needing to help someone or to help yourself, listen up. Recovering from trauma feels like a roller coaster with rumination, flashbacks, depression, anxiety, and hypervigilance. I'd like to offer you an invitation to get off the roller coaster and come fly on Leander Air, where we'll learn how to help our friends who have experienced trauma. It might sound a little bit something like this. Hello, and thank you for flying with Leander Air. A few announcements as we begin our talk. There's no safety card in the seat in front of you unless you're watching this from a flight, in which case, where are you headed today? So in this case, the seatbelt is actually food. One of the most important, one of the most important ways to survive day to day is to eat. And when you're hungry, the world seems like a very dark place. And with something in your belly, it's not so dark. Immediately following trauma, one of the most basic things to forget is food, is eating. So eat, that's your seatbelt. Even if it's just a quick protein shake, 250 grams of almond milk, 1 banana, 2 tablespoons of protein powder, 1 tablespoon of flaxseed, if you like, 1 heaping spoon of peanut butter, blend it up, drink it down, and set an alarm on your phone to eat at least 3 times a day, even if you're not hungry, because you might not be. I understand it, but your body needs food to survive, and you need calories to heal. If you or someone you love is in danger of hurting themselves or others, call 112 or 911 or whatever the emergency line is in your country and ask for help. Your closest exit is not suicide. It's never the answer. But asking for help, that is your closest exit. While yes, a life vest is probably not located under the seat or the seat in front of you, there are several coping strategies that are already within your reach. Go for a walk, get outside in any weather. There's no shitty weather, just shitty clothes. Put on the rain boots, raincoat, rain pants, bring the umbrella. Don't forget all the layers. Yep, the extra scarf too, those gloves. It doesn't matter how you look, as long as you're warm, get outside. And drink a cup of tea or coffee, it's fine. Put the kettle on, not too much water so it can boil faster. Is it before 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Black tea with lots of milk, if you like. After 2 o'clock, green tea with lemon, please. The goal is to do a little familiar ritual that you did when you were healthy, like making a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and to raise your temperature inside and out. While you're sipping your hot drink, wrap up in a favorite blanket, put on those soft jammies, get the temperature up. And finally, for me, bake. I have this super simple chocolate chip cookies recipe with 2 cups sifted flour, 1 cup melted butter, 1 cup of sugar, teaspoon of baking powder, teaspoon of vanilla, pinch of salt, an egg, as much chocolate as I'm feeling like baking those. Using your hands to mix things and get messy. And the reason why this is so important is, 1, you are tempting yourself with chocolate or something that is normally tempting to you as a curative. 2, you're actually using your hands and physically playing with something. And 3, you're getting calories that are warm, which raises your temperature. There are so many coping strategies out there that I could do an entire talk just about coping. These are 3 quick ones, but please Google if you need help, coping strategies. Please let us know if you need any help. So after a trauma, please seek help, ideally professional help, but I totally get if that seems overwhelming at first. If you don't feel like you can reach out to anyone, I'm Leander on Twitter and most other social media, and I'm here for you. You don't need to suffer alone, and what you're feeling is completely normal and understandable, but you need help. Don't stay alone. This is maybe obvious to people who are parents, but not as obvious to people who are friends. You can't take care of others unless you take care of yourself. So, for example, imagine yourself in the plane and the oxygen mask comes down. If you are trying to get the mask on someone else who is maybe also panicked, you're losing oxygen. You're not able to breathe. But if you put your own mask on first, then help others, you are more likely to help them and not die. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Short Stack Conference Airport. Local time is 12:26. Temperature is 22 degrees Celsius and 70 degrees Fahrenheit here in the Netherlands. Please check around your seat for any personal belongings you may have brought on board with you. And please use caution when opening the overhead bins, as heavy articles may have shifted around during the flight. On behalf of Leander Airs and the entire crew, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this trip, and we look forward to seeing you on board again in the near future. Enjoy the rest of your conference. Oh, here's the thing. This is a silly little talk, and it's got some valid points to help you recover, to help your friends recover. But the reality is that everyone's different. Every trauma is different. And I can really only give advice as a survivor. I'm not a doctor. I am not the professional help you're looking for. I am not your medicine. But I have survived. I have been through trauma a few times. And unfortunately, I understand what you're going through. And I've taken care of myself for many, many, many years. I do have kids. I have taken care of them. But sometimes when I'm feeling wobbly, I go back to my coping strategies that I know work for me. And I do them again and again. And it's a process. You will never completely heal. You will always have triggers. You will always have moments that come back to haunt you, and that sucks. But you will always have your coping strategies, and you will always have your friends here at Leander Air. Thank you.
Okay.
So one of the reasons why I applied to this conference is I am a professional speaker, but I'm not good at speaking about this.
Yeah.
And I want to be better.
Yeah. I get that. It's a very tough subject to be very honest about. I know for myself that I've been through quite a bit of therapy. I have my own issues, and it gets easier to be open about it, and you realize kind of how much it helps people, but it doesn't make it any easier to be open about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one question that did come up is, like, you mentioned asking for help quite a bit, and you mentioned kind of like some avenues for where you could ask for help, but do you have any answer for how do you ask for help?
Right. So I've sadly experienced a lot of different ways of asking for help. So I live in the Netherlands, but I've also lived in the United States. And I've found that in the United States, that if you tell a doctor or a professional or even a friend, depending on the friend, you can stay pretty calm and be like, I've had this trauma. I need to deal with it. Please help.
Mm-hmm.
In the Netherlands, it's been my experience that you have to cry and you have to express the emotion and the torture that you're feeling, or you won't be taken seriously. And that's kind of sad that you have to break down and cry in order to convey the seriousness of the situation. Me personally, I don't cry in front of strangers. So, but then when I do cry in front of strangers, I am hysterical and cannot communicate. So I actually had to ask a friend of mine who spoke Dutch. I speak Dutch very well now, but back then I didn't. And I said, this is what's going on. This is the seriousness of the situation. I need your help to get help here in the Netherlands. And they did. They were able to, basically express the seriousness of the situation and get that urgency across without me losing it.
Yeah.
But I understand it's very hard. Sometimes I write to ask for help. Sometimes I call a friend to ask for help. Sometimes I have been in the situation where I needed to convey that it was urgent, that it was an emergency. And I think the key there is don't give up. Don't stop asking. Don't decide if you don't get a response that you need to heal, keep asking. Someone else maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's really good advice. Thank you so much for the talk today. It was very good, very moving. Up next, we will be seeing